All right, let's do a live stream. I think we're good. We're good there. I'm going to hop in here. Hope it doesn't crash. So far, so good. And then we'll go right in here and see if that gets it. So what's been going on is... Did it take it? It did take it. Okay. So what's been going on is in OBS, I've been getting a lot of crashes with cattle and crops. And it seems like it's the sequence, right? Like it's when you fade it over from, I don't know, my preview in this case, my starting soon screen. When I fade it over and then when I hop in the sim, like that's what causes the problems. But, it seems to be working right now. But from here we need to go back to, not there, from here we need to go back to main menu, don't save. And as long as this holds together. Okay, here we go. We're going to scenarios and we're going to over. We're going to winter is coming. And we'll start this. All right. Just hold together for me. How's everybody doing? It's a Wednesday. Telling you what, it feels like a Monday. Or a Friday. It doesn't feel like a Wednesday. And is it gonna... continues to hold together. All right. Professor Farmstein is back. Welcome to the Winter is Coming scenario, which is all about soil cultivation with the disc harrow and the plow. All right. And then a lot of German down at the bottom. How do you refuel it again? I would say tow it, right? Because if you go to the store, you've got down here, you've got the tow bar, right? Where is it? Right there. The self-made tow bar. I would say rent a tractor, lease a tractor with fuel in it, and use the self-made tow bar and try to tow it to a fuel pump. You could also try restoring it. I don't know if restoring adds fuel. Wow, we've been walking. We've been walking the whole time we were in that menu. I don't know if restoring can put fuel in it or if it does put fuel in it. I know there's some games where when you recover or restore, you get like 5% fuel, right? They're assuming you ran out of fuel. So they give you enough fuel to get to a pump. Okay, after harvesting comes soil cultivation. I thought we bumped up our dead zones. They seem to be awfully low again. We're kind of wandering all over. First stage of cultivation is also known as stubble breakage. Soil is leveled out. This can be done with the cultivator, but the disc harrow is perfect because it can work even more shallowly and you can drive a little faster. Well, I like to drive fast. All right, and we are continuing to go IC, and we are going to stay first person as much as possible. And we're going to keep the track IR on. We're going to try to do all those things. No guarantees. All right, start it up. Let me know how the sound is as well. If it's quiet, if you want me to turn up the sound of the game a little bit, I can certainly do that for you. I'm really looking for, and man, I got into some problems with voice meter banana. Let's get this squared off. And I believe these weights cannot be manually attached. Okay. The disc harrow consists of 2 disc gangs and a roller. Depending on the model, the first disc gang works to the left and the second disc gang works to the right. All right. I like the sound of that. Is it inside? I think it is. So let's back up here. God, all right. It's been a few days. I already lost my muscle memory for this game. Pull back out this way. So yeah, what I want on top of my game right now, you wouldn't be able to see it. It would only be for me. But what I want is audio meters. I want to be able to see what the volume of the game is and what the volume of my mic is. And if we have Spotify playing, I want to be able to see what the volume of the music is. And I have not been able to find any app to do that. Apparently, a lot of people think highly of Voice Meter. Are we going to clear over here? barely. A lot of people think very highly of voice meter. I wasn't really able to get it working in a way that did it for me. Let's try to square off here. Let's try to. Close enough. All right, drive to the field. Here we go. So yeah, I did install voice meter, and what it did was it installed a bunch of virtual devices and sort of made those default, which is easy enough to switch out, but then it kept, they were very persistent. I couldn't uninstall them, I couldn't get rid of them. So had to get rid of voice meter banana, but I just want meters on top of my game. So OBS is only capturing the game. You wouldn't be able to see the meters, but I would. And I think the next best thing I'll be able to do is go with a second monitor. And on my second monitor, I'll have all my, oh, don't run over the rabbit. On my second monitor, sir, I'm going to need you to move to the left. Thank you. On my second monitor, I'll have OBS, and I'll be able to see those audio meters there, right? So we won't need to worry about having a third-party app to bring them up top. Anyway, that's what's going on there, right? How's everybody doing? I had so many problems yesterday. Every time I tried to transition? I wanted to add a syllable to that word. Every time I tried to transition from OBS to cattle and crops, it crashed on me. Did it like 6 times? 8 times? It was very frustrating. And then I got a virus in a font. I downloaded a font. Well, I went to the Google to try to find a good font for my virtual airline, because I wanted to skin the Airbus for Flight Simulator. And I did find a font, and after I got it installed and after I got the aircraft skinned, I couldn't delete the font. It was the weirdest thing. And I Googled that, and yeah, sometimes that happens. Kept saying it was in use by system. Huh. All right. And I could not delete it. I restarted. I could not delete it. And for some reason, just, I don't know, good luck, right? Intuition, I don't know. I ran a deep scan. So I run just a quick scan every morning with my virus detection. And the quick scan came up clean yesterday morning. And just for some reason, I did a deep scan. And it turns out that font had a Trojan in it. And it's an interesting Trojan because it doesn't deploy straight away. If you use that font in a Word document, it embeds the Trojan in the Word document, which I guess is how it wants to spread, right? So you use that font, you type it into a Word document, you send it out, and everybody who gets that Word document now has the Trojan. So I was able to get it removed before it deployed the payload, as they say in the business, but God, virus, what? So it's been a week already, and it's only Wednesday. Hang on, something's coming into the chat. Stand by. Okay, if you reset the vehicle, you can specify to reset it to the front of player. So I stood at the diesel tank in the yard. Who's a clever boy? Liam is a clever boy. That's, you know what I'm saying? You're a genius. I would not have thought of that. That is very clever. Hell yeah, man. Put that on your Facebook. People need to know that sort of stuff. I would have gone with the tow bar. Your idea is a lot better. All right, and we're going to go over here. We're going to break some stubble. And before we do that, I don't do this enough. We've got the IC going. Let's set the brake here. Set the brake, I said. And not slide. Game. Come on now. Okay. Tow bar's a non-starter. That's also good to know. Let's open the sunroof, because what month is it in game? It looks like it is August 5th. It's still pretty hot. Let's get this stuff open. And where is our... There it is in the back. I got my head all turned around to the side. Does this thing have side windows? No, it does not. All right, don't need anything there. All right. The farmer can work with the disc harrow up to depths of around 15 centimeters. Some models from other manufacturers have larger discs. That's what I said. So the farmer can work even deeper. The roller then binds the soil again to prevent erosion. Okay. Cultivate the field. I feel like every scenario they're giving us less and less help. I'm okay with that. So we want to go back here and unfold. Very nice. Now, if we go here, where is it? If we go to our, yep, all we can do is fold it up and fold it down. Okay. They talk about depths, right? They talk about various depths. And, you know, we don't get to adjust those things. Maybe we will at some point. But so far, I haven't seen those. Okay, so we want to put that there. And we need to maybe rotate it over a little bit. And then slide it over a little bit. Back this way. Like that. I can't really tell where the other end of the field is. I don't know if we're over it. What's, oh, hang on. Just like that, 1 degree, not 90 degrees. 90 is too many. I don't know if this will ever be part of this game or any other game, farming simulator, but I would love to see it that if you, all right, brake is off. I would love to see it that if you get too close to the edge of the field with a cultivator or a plow, that you widen the field, right? That would make sense, wouldn't it? And I think it would really sort of force, I don't know, maybe that's too strong a word, compel, encourage you to be more careful with how you line up the edges of your fields and how and when and where you lift your tools, right? I think that'd be a cool feature. And when we get to the end of this row here, I'm going to check this field again. Did we start on the long side? Where it had us lined up, I assumed that was the long side, but maybe I assumed wrong. All right, so we'll set the brake here and let's open the map, and we are, yeah, we could go the other way. So we will need to reset our, can we get there this way? We will need to reset. That's a good point as well. It's going to take a while until some of the details that are in this game are things that are sort of automatic to remember. So in the Farming Simulator franchise, and as always, I'm not down on Farm Sim. I like Farm Sim. It's one of my favorite games ever. But it is different. And there are a lot of things that we haven't really had to remember in Farm Sim, and I think we're going to need to start remembering them in this sim. And it's things like, you know, can we get back up this field? How wet is it, right? And in time, that's all going to be not automatic, but you know what I mean? We'll just know we need to think about those things. And at the moment, so far, haven't. Fried, how you doing? How's Wednesday treating you? Yeah. Yeah, muscle memory is the thing, man. If you have to stop and think about every key combo that you press, it really slows down gameplay. It really does. And we want this. Let's do it this way. Yeah, that's a really good tip as far as getting back up this field with a cultivator on. That's a very good tip, and I'm glad that you mentioned it. All right, so we'll take that off. Brake is off. We are going forward. Okay. And then we'll look back here. Drop that right about there. And here we go. Oh, that's fantastic. Surprise good days are the best kind of good days. Yeah, you see how I'm staying out, trying to stay out from right on the edge of the field. That's another, maybe we could call that a bad habit. that because in this sim, right, like in other farm sims, being too close to the edge of the field doesn't widen the field. I think I've got in a bad habit of just overlapping 1 or 2 feet of the tool out into the grass, knowing that it's not going to do anything, but it is going to get 100% to the edge of the field. So yeah, you know, cheating a little bit lazy. So I want to get out of that habit. I think I'm leaving a little bit too much right there. So maybe we'll come around at the end and do a headland. I don't know. Is that a thing that's done in real life? And I also saw in a thread, I saw somebody refer to compaction. Now, I don't know if compaction is a part of this game, and I just haven't really heard about it yet, or if that person was maybe talking about something different, or just a different, you know, different terminology. But whoa, why are we driving? Interesting. We sort of coasted all the way down there. I don't know what that was about. Felt like the cruise control had activated. All right. So I don't know if there's compaction, but I think if... All right. Moment. We're gonna go right back here and pick this up. What was I saying about muscle memory? So B. Y to lower. There you go. And we want, there's auto speed. I don't know if there's compaction, but I think it would be fascinating at the end of the year as your crops were growing, if you could see areas in the field where the crops had not grown as tall or as dark, and those were areas where the soil was compacted. Or if possibly they're just talking about an overall compaction, hard pan in the entire field, and that's something that you need to sort out with a plow or a subsoiler or whatever. I don't know if it's sort of meter by meter specific compaction, or if it's more just the entire field. But I'm really liking the details, and even like Liam just said, you know, can you get back up that field? I would never have had to worry about that in other farm sims. I mean, maybe if we were running more realistic, but for the most part, you know, as long as you've got the horsepower, you can get anywhere you need to get. In this game, you can definitely get stuck in fields. So that's something we'll need to think about. And even like all the different steps to make hay. Yeah, we picked up quite a bit of speed as we came over the crest of that hill there. Yeah. Yep, I'm feeling like the physics are, maybe sensitive isn't the right word, but I feel like the physics are more specific, maybe? I'm trying not to drive through the bushes as much as I have in the past, but that's going to mean we need to make a 47-point turn. Right in here now. All right, drop that. Here we go. Yep, I've seen that. That's another great detail. And I think it's a more realistic way to sort out the problem of not enough horsepower, too much horsepower, that things will still technically work. Like if you're going too fast, it won't just give you a warning. It's still, you're still moving, it's just not functioning the way it's designed to. I think that's a more challenging way for us to solve that problem. Because it's like if you're not paying attention, you can just keep on going and not realize that your cultivator or your drill or whatever it is that you're working with, it's not doing anything. But you don't know that, right? Oh, it does flash up a warning, but I would, if I can, I would turn that warning off. And that would be just another thing we really need to pay attention to. Okay. We're here. here. All right, and like so. All right, the professor says the greater the working width, the greater the horsepower you obviously need. You need approximately 40 horsepower per meter of working width. So for a working width of 5.2 meters, you need around 200 horsepower. Yeah, and let me go third person here just for a second. So you can see this. We are sort of going up a hill, and we're at about 5 kilometers per hour. And right up here as we sort of crest this hill, yeah, we'll just almost immediately pick up speed and get up to almost 8 kilometers per hour. It's subtle. I mean, it's not, we're not going to lose control of the tractor or anything. But I just think that the physics really are dialed, and they're really, really specific. Liam, are you using the smart cruise control, the adaptive cruise control? And I think there's a way that you can fine-tune it even more. It will default to certain speeds based on implement, I think. But you can also set it to other speeds as well. But if you do that, you should be able to set it to the maximum speed of the implement. I'm trying to back up here. There we go. You can set it to the maximum speed of the implement, and it will prevent that. So there was a patch to the game. I don't know how much optimization they've done, but it seems to be playing pretty smooth. I'm not seeing really any stutters right now. And colors and everything look pretty good. I mean, I have no complaints about the way the game looks. It looks different than what we're used to, but it doesn't look bad. I hopped in WRC 8 today, back to back with Dirt Rally 2.0, and those two games definitely look different, but neither one of them look bad. They just look different. Yeah, from what I know about the cruise control, Liam, it automatically adjusts to whatever implement you have on. And as always, I might not know what I'm talking about, but at least that's what I understand it to do, because it seems to go to a different stage 1 speed for any implement that you have on without, or at least in my case, I haven't changed or adjusted it or anything. It just goes to a certain speed per implement. So I think that stage 1 cruise control speed is automatically set based on the implement that you have on. All right, and we'll go right over here, right about there. Lift that. Careful with this tree right here. So for a time, the trees did not have collision, but I think they do now. So you can still drive through the bushes, but you can't drive through the trees anymore. And because the edge of this field over here to our right, because it's angled, I'm going to do that before or after. Maybe we'll do a headwind afterwards. So the edge of our field may be a little zigzaggy over there as we drop our cultivator to make our passes, but we'll come back in at the end and smooth it out a little bit. Okay. And there is also, Liam, I believe there is a way that you can sort of manually override that, adjust it, but I haven't got into it yet. So it could be that you could set stage 1 to 8 kilometers per hour or 10 or whatever. It would still be under 12, but faster than 7.5. Because for a big field like that, I mean, the difference between 7.5 and 10 is like over 30%. You're definitely going to save a little bit of time on a bigger field like that. So I know it could sound like, oh, you know, it's only a couple kilometers per hour, but it adds up over the course of a summer. All right. Yeah, we'll leave that till the end. We'll come back around and do a headland. Nope. The field guidance tried to grab it right there. All right. And we want to back up carefully around this tree. Here we go. Crash off in the settings. I'm not sure what that means. You can turn collision off. If there's a setting for that, I went right past it. I didn't even see it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, what's the difference between 5-furrow and 7-furrow? Well, again, that's about 30%. I mean, if you can make something 30% more efficient, that's not bad. And I'm going to turn this off just so the next one can pop up. There we go. Get rid of that. You can take the region out. All right, I'll take a look in the settings and see if there is a way to turn collision off. I think I would rather leave it on. I kind of like it. So we'll go right about there. Okay, still okay with the tree. Here we go. Yeah, I had no idea how many farmers lease equipment, rent equipment, and hire contractors. And when I first started playing FS15, you know, of course, first thing I wanted was like a Smart Track or a Zarian. And it is fun to just, whoa, too fast, too fast. It is fun to have the biggest, most powerful equipment available, but in reality, you know, buying a €1 million tractor is not something every farmer does or feels a need to do. It doesn't necessarily make sense. It doesn't make you money. So leasing tractors, I think, is a great feature to have in some of these games, and also being able to hire contractors. I think it's very realistic. Definitely something you do in real life. I've seen people play this game. I've seen them stream it with Track IR, and I mean, I sort of got it, but until I got my own Track IR a month or so ago, it really didn't click for me. How much it changes gameplay in farm sims, in truck sims, flight sims. It just really makes it feel like, I don't want to say like you're really doing something, but like you're really doing something. It just makes it different. I really, really recommend it. So there's that, and yeah, that's about right. like 6 to 8 kilometers per hour. When we activated it on the last length that we did, it jumped up to like 9. Felt a little bit fast, a little bit reckless. And in fact, so looking at the 3 stages up there in the top, they are 10, 13, and 50. But let's test it. If we go to 2 right now, interesting. So we have the cruise control set to 13 kilometers per hour, but we're still at under 6. So I wonder if it's not the cruise control and it's actually the implement itself that's limiting it, right? Like this tractor just can't pull this thing any faster. Well, no, that's not necessarily true, because Liam, you just said you were able to pull your cultivator too fast. Oh. We'll figure it out. All right, and this is right over here somewhere, right about there. That was maybe a little too far. So we'll lift that. Get this backed up, and then right in here. At the moment, track IR is only rotation, and we can't lean, but when I look over this way, I'd like to be able to lean my head forward out over that rear fender so we can see the edge of the implement. Okay, it will go too fast downhill. Okay, so that is a power thing, and not it's not like some kind of override where having the implement on there caps the cruise control at a certain speed. It will go too fast if you've got enough power, or if you're going downhill or something. And I think, looking at the little meter up there in the top left, I think we're going to be done with this field before we're into that headland. Fusion, what is happening? Welcome to the stream. I think that meter is gonna zero out before we're done, so we may not have to do a headland. It may tell us that we've done enough to like qualify or whatever. Qualify. What's the word I'm looking for? It'll say that this phase of the scenario is done and let us move on to the next one. We won't have to do that headland. Probably not, because we're just about done now. All right, like so. Okay. And that's when you're headed downhill. Interesting. Yeah, the cruise control and the field guidance both seem really well implemented. The AI and driving from place to place on roads, that needs a little bit more polish, but I think that's it's a really complex task you're asking the code to do. But if I had a choice between the two, if they could make one perfect, I would rather that they make the field guidance better. And then the AI and the helpers, I don't know, we'll just deal with that. But I think the way the field guidance is implemented is really, really well done. This is a slow game though. Tell you what, I know you can back the physics down. I've got them on realistic. I know you can back the physics down and make it a little bit less demanding, but this is a really slow game in a good way. In a good way. But this is the sort of sim farming experience I've been wanting. I think we all have. All right, back out this way. And I don't know how accurate this field guidance system is compared to real world systems. I know there are some auto steer systems that will more or less just drive the entire field for you. You need to be in the tractor to, I don't know, keep everything safe, override if there's a problem. But once you get it all programmed at your desk in your office, put it on a USB stick, throw it in the tractor, and once you get there and get to the start point, it just drives the whole thing itself. So I don't know how this compares to that. Let me see. Works the soil a little deeper. There's a lot of farm information and farm tech that this game tells you about. And I'm not 100% sure what we're meant to do with that. I don't know if it's going to be included in the game later, and we do need to know it, or if it's just general like farm knowledge, you know, just letting us know how farms work. But some of this stuff, like the sticks in the field, right? I was looking for them. I thought we were going to run over a stick. So I don't know how much of what it tells us we'll need to know later, and how much of it is just I don't know, just talking about farming. All right, and we will, if not this length, then the next one, I think we will be done, and it will tell us we can move on to our next task, and we'll go ahead and do that just to keep things moving. And if we were going to finish this manually, I would come in afterwards and go over all these little zigzag bits here with the headland just to get it all squared up. All right, right about in here somewhere. And I did try again to get NVIDIA reshade filters going, and at the moment NVIDIA doesn't recognize this as a supported game. So if you want to run reshade, you have to do a manual install. If you go to reshade.me, you can download it if you don't have it. And I haven't seen any packs for it yet, any pre-built shader packs. I'm curious to see what the game will look like bumped up to, I don't know, even if it's fake 4K. Curious what that'll look like. Playability for front loaders. Tell me what you mean by that. Are the front loaders, are they not working for you, or are they just tricky to use? Right about there, right about there. I haven't tried them on the mouse. I've tried them on gamepad. I tried them with my flight stick. And yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a really tough one for developers. It's a tough one for developers because you don't want to automate the task. It is fun to play with a front loader or a telehandler or a wheel loader. It's fun to play with diggers, so I think they want that task to be something that you get to do manually. But at the same time, it can be really, really frustrating depending on how you're doing it. The most frustrating thing for me is the perspective. I can never figure out where I am and trying to line things up. But yeah, I've never tried it with a mouse and keyboard. Oh, no, I take that back. I have. With JKLM, I think. Yeah, you know what? It was so long ago, though, I don't even remember. I don't even remember how it went. I do know on gamepad, some of the controls are inverted compared to flight sim. Compared to flight sim. Compared to farm sim, some of the controls are inverted for front loader, and it is a little bit tricky for me to kind of, I don't know, shift gears. Up is down, left is right. All right, that looks like the end of there. I just realized these lengths are getting shorter as we get closer to the edge of the field, so every time I think we're at the end of our little progress bar up there, we do a shorter length. And it seems like we're not getting any closer. All right, there we go. If I ever built my absolute perfect rig, it would be a combination of a GT3 race sim rig with 2 joysticks for farm sim. Finish cultivating the field and drive back to the farm. How's your OCD? What do you think? Oh, you know what? I just realized it does want us to continue? Or is it sending us back to the farm? No, we can go back to the farm now. OCD says, let's do this last little bit. Let's just finish it off. Okay, I got you. Have you tried just keyboard for the front loader? Like skip the mouse and just use WASD or JKLM? Like that, and like that. So yeah, I would need a full GT3 cockpit for racing. I would need a flight stick on the left or between my legs and a throttle on the, sorry, reverse that. Flight stick on the right or between my legs and a throttle on the left, and then I would need 2 farm sim joysticks left and right. And a shifter and a handbrake and everything else. It would be, I don't even know how I would get into my chair. And I would also have, oh, you know what? I just realized something. Stand by. We can turn this off now so we're not fighting it. So I would have, oh, I don't know, 12 or 15 game control devices. And that would correspond to like 15 USB devices. For logging. So the one on the right is going to be the one that you would have in a tractor. And then the one on the left, combined with the one on the right, would be what you would have in some of the logging equipment. So the one on the left isn't strictly required. You could just get by with the one on the right. But even if I could make all those devices play well together, I don't know how I would physically fit them into one game chair. I just don't think it could work. And that means I'm going to need I'm going to need 3 rigs if I wanted to build my ideal game cave. I would need 1 rig for flight, 1 rig for racing, and 1 rig for farm and truck. And that is not going to happen, not anytime soon. Yeah, there's some videos on YouTube of people doing two joystick farming. Not farming. Two joystick logging. That's it. Two joystick logging in Farm Sim, and it's something to see, man. They are just mowing through trees. All right. I think that's us done. Right? So we'll lift this and fold it. Yeah, fried. It's amazing. Carefully pull out of here. Here we go. You know what I'm finding, particularly this summer? I have so many sims going. So last summer I was spending almost all of my race time in iRacing. And I wasn't into any flight sims at all. So something like Truck Sim, you don't really get good at Truck Sim. After you've played it for 15 or 20 hours, you can play it as well as you're ever going to play it. And you just drive trucks and you have fun. But there's no real level to Truck Sim. You don't get better at it continually. So I played Truck Sim, I played Farm Sim, and I spent a lot of time in iRacing. Well, then I started kind of, I don't know, branching out. And I got too many sims. I got a bunch of motorcycle sims, and I got X-Plane, and then a couple months ago I got Flight Sim 20, and I find myself spread out between so many sims that it's like I almost forget things. And I do lose that muscle memory. And for something like Truck Sim, you get it back quickly enough, and there's no real way to keep score, so to speak. But for other kinds of sims, if you don't play them for a while, you sort of forget how to play them. So when I see those people doing two-handed logging in Farm Sim, I think, man, I know I don't mean this disrespectfully, but like, is that all you do? Because it looks like you do that really, really well, you know? And I can't imagine that you could maintain that level of proficiency if you were jumping back and forth from sim to sim. I feel like my sims are stacking right now, and I don't know at what point I'm going to have to stop buying sims and just concentrate on the ones that I have. But even just getting Ride 4. Now Ride 4, carefully. Ride 4, the motorcycles handle really, really similar to MotoGP 20. So there's not a real learning curve there, but it's like the more sims you have, the more games you play, the more muscle memory you need. And they do stack, because the sims that we play, they don't have an end to them. All right? A lot of games, you get them, you play them for 40 or 50 hours, you beat them, and then you're done, right? You don't necessarily play that game anymore. You might come back to it in a few months when some new DLC drops, but you don't keep playing it. But for something like Farm Sim or Truck Sim or Cattle and Crops, these are games that you can just keep playing indefinitely. And if you add more and more of them, right, you can't play all of them indefinitely. It's only so many hours in a week. All right, let's just pull this up right over here. And let me see, we were working pretty hard, so we're going to let this run so it can cool down, right? Hop out here, close this, like so, go to the house. All right. We're going to skip that next step and go straight to October when the plowing is imminent. Interesting. I've always wondered about this. See, I thought you would want to plow in the spring so that your plowing would be like, I don't know, fresh, right? Because it seems like if you plowed in the fall, over the winter, the soil would kind of settle. right? All the moisture and snow sits on it. All right, attach the plow to the joist, and I'm guessing we need to put this weight on here. Is it still running? That's interesting. We didn't turn it off, and it ran from August to October. All right, we might need to get fuel. Yeah, Farm Sim, I don't know, there's something really kind of magical about it. I don't know what it is, but it really, it's kind of a spirit animal game for me, whether it's Farming Simulator franchise or Cattle and Crops or whatever comes next. But yeah, I really, really like Farm Sims a lot, and Truck Sims. All right, and yep, windows are still open. It's October. It's 13 degrees. You know, I think I'm going to leave the windows open. Get a little fresh air in here. But then, as I say that, right, I think Farm Sim will always have kind of a special place for me. And then I think, well, racing, I don't know, man. I love racing sims. Now, flight sims, right? I think it's just all simulation gaming. I really, really like sim gaming. Not really sure why. It's one of those things that in some ways I don't want to understand it. I just want to enjoy it. I don't want to think about it. Because sometimes when you think about things, then you get an understanding of them that ruins them. Sometimes it's easier just to like something. How are we doing on fuel? Fuel is... yeah, we'll be all right. We don't need to get fuel. Yeah, I think I'm about the same for 17. I want to say it's... it might not be that many. It's maybe closer to 1,000. But then it is a big drop down from there to the next one. The thing that I like about Farm Sim and Truck Sim is it never really gets intense. It's only ever satisfying. You know, it's only ever chill. Racing games, even Flight Sim can get kind of intense, you know, but Farm Sim, any Farm Sim, it's just always relaxing. All right, got a little wildlife here. This is a nice touch. I'm glad the devs put this in, that there is wildlife in the game. And they even said last scenario, maybe the one we did before that, it mentioned that you want to start mowing from the inside of a field to the outside so that if there's any animals in there, they have an opportunity to move out of the way and get back into the forest. I like those little details. All right. I'm not sure why, and I could be, I don't know, could just be that there are no crops in the fields or some other factor, but the game seems to be playing really well right now. It's really smooth. There's no stuttering or freezing. And our frame rate is pretty good. Last episode, yeah, I think we did have crops in a lot of the fields, and we were barely at 30, and we're closer to 50 FPS right now. So they'll continue to optimize it, but crops seem to be the thing that kind of slows it down. Yeah, that's fair. And I think there is going to be a complexity and a challenge to cattle and crops that we're not really used to in Farm Sim. right? It's just not something that we've had to sort out before. I'm also curious what it's going to feel like the first time I get it wrong. And because I've never, you can't really go bankrupt in Farm Sim. So it'll be curious to see how that plays out, and I suspect this is going to be a very difficult game to make money in. And when you get it right, when you do make money, it's going to be very satisfying. All right, is this the field we just worked on? I want to say yes. So we're going to come over here. Oh, careful. We're going to come over here like this and get lined up. All right. So now, let me see if I remember this. We want our plow. We want our wheel. Yep, the wheel is on the correct side. Right? You always want the wheel on the unplowed side. Is that true? Let me read this. Sounds great in theory. Once I start getting to that, you're going to get tired of doing it. I don't know. I mean, you can start multiple profiles. Maybe have one sandbox profile and one career profile. Just switch back and forth between the two of them. All right. So that is there. We want this to automatically switch. And what is our key command to flip the? Hang on. Let me turn. Oh, I got to turn this off. Moment. I'm going to turn this off and turn that off, and then bring this in. Switch work side is A. Let's confirm that. Is it A? It is not A. Okay, it's not B. What is it? That one. Okay. So left shoulder button plus X is how we flip our plow. All right, so we'll open this back up. All right. And brake is off. All right, here we go. Now, how far from the edge of the field are you when you drop this thing? About like so. Oh, this is going to take a minute. Yep, I think it is. Hang on, I'm going to hop out third person just for a moment. And if we go here, that's more better. And are we, we've got the offset in there, but I feel like we're not offset, are we? We do have an offset, but I feel like we're not tracking on it. Oh, we'll see when we get to the end of the field. All right, close that. All right, too many things happening right now. Let's get rid of this. And then come back down here. And like that. Hey, you know what, Fried? It's not going anywhere. If you ever decide that it's something you want to get into, it'll be there. Now, we want to put, let me see if I remember this correctly. We want to flip this, right? So then our wheel is still on the unworked side of the field. Yep, that's correct. Okay. And then our wheel, let me get backed up here. Our wheel will go into the rut that the plow cut on our last pass. Is that correct? Do I know what I'm talking about? All right, so let me drop that. I think this is working the way it's supposed to. And we do seem to be tracking the blue line better this time. Last time we were not. This time we are. And that is 100%. Like this row is overlapping with the previous row just enough. Okay. I think this is working. I'm going to go third person again. Yeah, I think we're doing it. There is, Liam. When I get to the end of this row, I'll show it to you. So we want to go right about here. I am going to have to drive through this little bush. And this will be right about there. Okay. So the setting is right here. Automatically switch vehicle offset side. So if that's turned on, every row it will flip over to the other side. Then we'll go back here, and I just want to confirm that this is rotating. It is. So we'll drive through this little bush. I don't know if we're meant to do this, if the assumption is, you know, these bushes are just, I don't know, flexible. They'll just drop down out of the way as we drive over them and then spring back up. But I don't know how else we could accommodate them without making like a 15-point turn every time we get to the end of the field. All right, and right about there. It says it moves the offset. So like right now, our right front tire is in the rut, right? Stop short of the field, then do 3 runs on the headland. Okay. I may not do that this episode, right? We'll just get the progress bar done, but I appreciate information like that because I do want to do this the way it's supposed to be done in real life. And I'm also curious if the offset for this plow is the same for each side, because I feel like, so on this length, it seems like we're tracking the yellow line, but when we flip, then we'll be tracking the blue line, but our tire will still be in the rut. So I don't know if something is happening like under the hood to keep it all tracking properly, or if the offset on the plow is not the same from side to side. All right, so right about there. We're going to flip that and get this turned around. All right, and right about like right there. Yeah, we seem to be. All right, Liam, thanks for stopping by, brother. Appreciate it. So we still have in this case, we have the left front tire in the rut. So we're still tracking okay, but now we've got the hood ornament on the blue line rather than the yellow line. Well, maybe. I don't know. It's sort of bouncing back and forth between the two. I mean, we're doing it. It does seem to be, I don't know, functioning somehow. I think what we're doing right now is going to be the bulk of this scenario, because we've got a pretty narrow implement on, and it's not a big field, but it's not tiny. So I think we're gonna spend some time working on this, and look on this side this time, right about there, and then we'll flip this. And I think that the only other thing we have to do on this field is spread some fertilizer. I saw a broadcast spreader, pellet spreader, in the barn. So I think that'll be the last thing we do. All right. Right about there. The game has some nice pauses when you apply power. It does feel like the tractor almost kind of spools up power. It doesn't just take off like a go-kart. It's a nice detail. And it gives a feeling of weight to the tractor. It feels like you're actually doing something. I guess, yeah, I mean, it's not that narrow an implement. I think there's a smaller plow. This is the 7, and then there's also a 5. So this is the bigger of the two. And we'll see what people come up with for mods. I haven't seen a ton of mods for this game yet, and I'm really, I have to say, confused by that, because as many modders as there are, I mean, I know it's a new game, and it's a new way of doing things that people need to learn and get used to. But it would seem like this is the farm sim that modders really would want to be involved in, because it is so much more comprehensive, and it's got a lot more detail, and it's new. It's just something new to play with. But I haven't really seen a lot of mods for it yet. And I'm curious if that's going to change. I had a feeling when 19 came out that a lot of modders lost interest and moved on. I don't know what they moved on to, or if they just quit modding. And it seemed like there was almost something similar that happened in Truck Sim, primarily ETS, because it seems like that's where most of the mods are. There's a lot more for ETS than there are for ATS, but I don't know. Maybe modding is, that was a 2008 to 2018 thing, and people are not into modding the way they used to be. I imagine that would be very frustrating, and something that I saw from a lot of modders was, I'm going to quit doing this. It's too much work. There's too much begging, and I'm tired of seeing my work edited, and people do things to it, post it on other sites as their own. That's got to be frustrating. I mean, in a way, you should expect it, because we all know what happens with mods once they're out in the wild. But it's still frustrating. Carefully. We're going to flip this. Yep, I've heard the same thing. One of the developers owns mod hoster, and that's where I've been trying to get all my mods. I don't know if it will be the way Mod Hub is with Farm Sim, where it's sort of the official place to get mods. But I've been trying to get everything from Mod Hoster for that reason. You know, as we're working through these scenarios, I'm really glad the developers kind of toughed it out. And I'm curious to see where this game goes in the next 12 to 24 months. But I'm glad they survived. I'm glad they made it through all the rough patches that they had. Because this is really the farm sim experience that I've been wanting for a long time. Myself and a lot of other people. It's just, I don't know, it's like if you took every realism mod that existed and put it into FS17 all at once, this is what you'd have. All right, get right over here. Right about here. I'm going to flip this. All right, let me read the chat. Yeah, I agree. And I'm not arguing with you by any means. I don't do that. But a counterpoint would be anytime there's a game or a sim where you have to be online, right, where it sort of rekeys the game every time you start it and confirms that you own it. And a response to that from people is, so you're telling me if my internet is out, I don't have access to the thousands of dollars of titles that I own? So yes, I agree with you. If there was a foolproof way or some type of way to prevent people from stealing mods, I think that may bring some modders back, because I know that's a huge source of frustration for them. But I personally, even theoretically, I can't come up with a way to do that without requiring either always on internet or some type of almost like a PGP system, you know, something where when you download the mod, it's somehow encrypted, whether it's to your MAC address or some way locked to you. You can give it away all you want, but the people you give it to can't play it because they don't have that key. Yeah, agreed. And that's something that even I get a little hot about that when things happen with games, because a lot of these games, we know we don't really own them. We license them. And so to say to a developer, hey, I bought that game, I own it, and I can do whatever I want with it. And technically, that's not what happened. You licensed it from the developer or from Steam or whoever, and they still own it. Like your iPhone or your whatever. Oh, very careful. Yep, that is exactly the problem. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And the thing is, so one of my things is, if I don't have a viable fix for a problem, I can recognize that problem, but I can't necessarily get too loud about it because I don't have a way to fix it, right? So I can recognize that, well, something like modding, right? It's a perfect example. I can recognize that if you create a mod, and unless you keep it 100% private, right, at some point somebody is going to release it, and now everybody's got it, and there's really nothing you can do. Well, I recognize that that's a problem, but I don't have a fix for it. So I can't really I can't tell people that are upset about it, oh, don't worry about it. We just need to do this, this, and this. So, yeah, there's a lot of things like that. A lot of things like that in life. I know it's a problem, but I can't fix it. I don't even know how you'd start to fix it. And I think in some cases the fix could be worse than the problem. And so we're going to lift that. We're going to flip it. And I'm going to go all the way out and around these trees. That worked out. So I'm going to go right in here. And like so. And like so. All right, here we go. All right, Fusion. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. See you soon. Yeah, I mean, Fried, you're right. That's a way to fix it. But I mean, whole games get cracked if it's not de novo. Whole games get cracked. I mean, there are games that have been cracked and are available for free download before they've even been released. It's just, there's too many smart people out there. And I would not want to be the person to tell modders, hey, you know what, you can make this content all you want, you can put all the time into it that you want. It doesn't matter how much you care about it. People are just going to steal it, edit it, and trade it around, and there's nothing you can do about that. I would not want to have to tell modders that. I think, unfortunately, that may be the case, but I would not want to be so dismissive of things that other people put a lot of hard work into. But if entire games get cracked, I really don't know what we could do to protect single mods. Carefully. Oh, field guidance. What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop it. All right, here we go. Okay, and our wheel is on the correct side. It is. I think the worst take on that would be if you end up with like Microsoft or Sony. Microsoft continually goes through my laptop and my tower. It's not that I've given them permission to do it. It's just if you're running Windows, it's in the EULA. You can't get away from it. Microsoft goes through the content on my computers to make sure that I own it. So if there's music or movies or whatever, they periodically check that to see if I own it. And there's nothing I can do to stop those scans. And it's not that any of my content is stolen. It's all legit. It's just the idea that this is Microsoft and Sony's idea. This is how we'll fix the problem of media piracy, is we'll just be in everybody's business to make sure that they didn't steal anything. And I guess that's what I meant earlier when I said, sometimes the way that we fix a problem is worse than the problem itself. But I really don't know what the fix is for modders, how they could protect their mods without it just being a nightmare for anybody who wants to download one of them or use one of them. All right, we'll get lined up here. We're starting to make a little bit of progress, but yeah, this is, I feel like this game is going to be, there are going to be a lot of multi-hour sessions to get through a season. So we'll drop that. Beautiful. All right, here we go. Yeah, unfortunately it is, and like I said, that's not something that I would want to tell a modder. I don't, it almost sounds like you're gloating a little bit to tell a modder, like, hey, you know what? That's just the way it's going to be. You keep putting hundreds of hours into these projects, and people will keep stealing them. Hey, thanks. You know, that's. Uh, I mean, I like you were saying, perhaps a mod hub. Maybe if you folded the whole thing into one big, well, like if it was Unreal, it would be one big pack file, right? So it would sort of come from the developer with the mods already on board. Maybe that could work. I don't know. All right. And I notice we're getting a little bit of, every time we lift the plow, we're getting a little bit of kind of, it's not stuttering, but bouncing around a little bit. Go. And I feel like we get more comfortable with my turns too. It's getting a little bit easier to control the tractor. All right, we got our wheel on the right side. There we go. Well, I was thinking modders could maybe work with the developer where there wouldn't necessarily be any money out of pocket for the customers and players, but a modder could, I don't know, get their mod approved by the developer and included in the game, which is sort of what Dovetail does with Train Simulator and Train Sim World, right? Where you can only buy and install mods as DLC. But then the problem with that is train simulators, both Train Simulator and TSW, they're both cracked and available. You can go download it for free. I'm not suggesting that you do. I'm just saying that, all games, other than just a very few titles, all games eventually get cracked anyway. So even that might not necessarily protect modders. The main thing for me is they put all that work into it, and it just seems like people are really kind of disrespectful to the things that they make for us. That's what bothers me the most about it. All right. Go right in here. We're starting to pick up a little dirt too. I feel like this game gets dirty very slowly. A lot slower than Farm Sim. I might bump that up a little bit. Yeah, yeah. It's I don't know. I mean, you can go on Reddit. You can find a lot of forums on this topic, and it's like there are a lot of ideas, but all of them have as many problems. All of them cause as many problems as they solve. I mean, I imagine it's a lot like being a musician in this era. When you were 50 years ago, if you were a musician, you didn't really need to worry about people stealing your music because the technology to record it or recreate it was not available to everybody. But now, if you've got a computer, you can create a digital copy of a piece of music with no loss, right? Maintain all the fidelity, and then just give it to anybody you want. All right, come right back in here. And we're on this side now, right? That's on the right side. Here we go. And I do think there are some artists and musicians that understand that And they do make their music with the intention of giving it away to promote other aspects of their brand or to sell concert tickets or whatever. So, looking at the model years and years ago, like decades ago, a musician went on tour so they could sell copies of their music, and that was how they made money. The tour was an advertisement for the music itself. Now that's flipped 180 degrees, and a lot of musicians give away music as an advertisement to get people to go to the show, go to the live show for $150 per ticket. So the tour is what makes money, and the music is the ad for it. It's a 180 degree flip from the way the model used to work. But to me, that's an industry that understands the way things are now. And as much as they may want to change them, if they can't, well, all right, then how do we adapt to make money? And I think because so many modders have no intention of making money, they're in a really kind of a weird spot. They don't necessarily want to make money, they just want people to respect what they've created. I'll drop that. But like somebody said further up in the chat, that's not the way the internet works, and it only takes a few people to ruin it. It only takes a few people to set the example that this is what you can get away with, and suddenly everybody's trading other people's mods around. So if modders don't want to make money, but they do want people to respect what they've created, I feel like that's just not, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. But if anybody can come up with a fix for it, send it my way. I would love to hear it. All right, we've got maybe another 8 or 10 passes. We're making progress, but this is definitely a very zen game. Very slow. Turn around here. Right there. And then we're going to flip this. Right? And here we go. Yeah, that's exactly it, Fried. In the U.S., there's an expression that your freedom ends where my freedom begins, right? And I guess the core of that is anything that you do that can affect someone else, if you have the freedom to do it, they lose the freedom to be free of you doing it. And if they're protected from you doing it, you lose the freedom to do it. So there's always a tension there. There's always a give and take. So I agree that there should be freedom and anonymity on the internet, for sure. But the limitation of that is when people abuse that anonymity, when they abuse that privacy to hurt or intimidate or otherwise bother other people. Hang on. Oh yeah, hang on. So let's pull a little bit more forward here. Scrape. And then we'll go back this way. We're good? Yep, we're good. Yeah, I think we're already having that discussion right now, that debate. I, I do feel like the internet is going to split into essentially three internets. One is going to be for information, one is going to be for commerce, and one is going to be for everything else. And I think once we get to that point, once you can sort of decide which internet it is that you interact with at any given moment, it's going to remove, for a lot of people, it's going to remove the parts of the internet that they don't like. But until it splits, because the internet it's something different to everybody who uses it at the moment. And there's a lot of bleed through. A lot of people are subjected to things that they're not interested in, but it's a trade-off that they have to make because for one reason or another they need the internet or they choose to use certain parts of it. And they've talked a lot in the US about making the internet a regulated utility because we do need it, right? It's virtually impossible to survive without it. But in the US, regulated utilities are, they can still be privately owned and privately run, but they're regulated and they need to answer to a specific set of rules, particularly about reliability and pricing. But that means that they're monitored and the things that happen with them are monitored. And that's something that people that use the internet don't necessarily want, right? So it's a tricky balance where the internet it's not regulated in the United States and it's for the most part privately owned. They could turn it off tomorrow if they wanted to, and there's nothing anybody could do about it. It's not like, if they turned off my electricity tomorrow or my water, the government would essentially force them to turn it back on because people can't live without water or electricity. And arguments are made that the internet is the same way, right? We can't function without it. So it needs to be protected. But if it's protected, it's regulated. If it's regulated, that involves government. People don't want government involved in the internet. So it is a big ethical question, as you said. And there isn't a quick, easy answer for it that I know of. All right, and as before, the closer we get to the edge of the field, the shorter our rows are and the longer it takes to get done. All right, so we go right up here, right about there. We'll flip this, and we'll get this turned around. Right over this way. Yeah, agreed. And I think that's what we all hope for, is that the people that make these decisions have our best interests at heart, and they really do try to come up with the best solutions. And unfortunately, people are fallible. It's I don't know. It's when you think about how people existed for, well, whatever your belief system is, however long you believe people have been around, It's been a long, long time. And we got used to processing information at one speed. And then suddenly in the last few hundred years, things have begun to accelerate and just continue to accelerate. And I wonder sometimes if it's not more than we can deal with. You know, we're just not built to process this much information this quickly. But the idea of government or private industry telling me that, you know, they've decided in my best interest that the availability of information is going to be limited because they're worried I'm getting too much of it. Well, I might disagree with that. And like I was saying earlier, you know, one person's freedom ends where another person's begins. And I personally love sports cars and sport bikes. And I like to go very, very fast on public roads when I know I really shouldn't. And I've never been in an accident. I've never wrecked a motorcycle or wrecked a car, never hurt myself, which is, I've been lucky. And as I've matured, I've definitely slowed down. But if somebody told me tomorrow that, you know, motorcycles over 100 horsepower were just bad, they're just bad, and, you know, this many lives would be saved, and the world would be a better place if motorcycles were capped at 100 horsepower. Personally, that would kind of suck for me, but I could get on board, you know, for the greater good. And I think the problem is that not everybody feels that way. Not everybody is willing to get on board for the greater good. And sometimes what we're told is for the greater good really isn't. You know, it turns out that they were wrong afterwards. So it's a combination. You know, we need to get good information about what's best for all of us. And then as cultures, as societies, we need to agree that we're going to get on board and we're going to do these things together so that things can be better for all of us. And that's, unfortunately, that's something that historically people have never been good at either of those things. I wish they were, but we do struggle with that. All right, and let's confirm we've got our wheel on the right side here. Or about right there. Right there. Yeah, and I think another problem is that it's so dynamic. You know, even if you could find that balance, how many years could it last? How many generations could it last? You know, and at some point then it would need to evolve, and it could evolve in one direction, might need to evolve in the opposite direction. And it's always going to be so dynamic. You know, as far as that balance between what's good for individuals and what's good for the group. Oh, there's that perfect little pause. Yeah, I do like that pause when we accelerate. Yeah, fried. We'll have to continue this on Discord. Uh, Larger philosophical topics, I'm happy to talk about, but anything specifically political, I do try to avoid on the channel. Uh, but yeah, hop on Discord, DM me on Discord. We can continue chatting about this. But I do try to really keep the channel politically vague. Big philosophical concepts, no problem. But anything that give it. Are we not in gear? What's happening right now? There we go. Yep, anything vague is perfect, but I have to stay away from anything specific. And also, ideally, if people can't even guess what my politics are, that means I'm doing my job right. I want to try to be completely neutral in all things, to the point where people don't even know what I believe. You know, we're just driving the tractor. We got to talk about something. Going to be out here in the sunshine all day, drinking lemonade, plowing a field. Got to talk about something. And you know, I do think this is how problems get solved. They do. It's just by talking about them. It's not arguing, it's not fighting, it's just throwing ideas around. Somebody told me a long time ago, you only ever learn anything if you're wrong. If you think you're right about everything, if you know you're right about everything, if you won't admit that you're wrong about anything, you'll never learn anything. Because the only time you learn something is when you accept that what I thought I knew before is that's not 100% valid or correct, or my data was flawed or something. But the takeaway for me is you can only ever learn something by being wrong. And I think that is, for me, that's been extremely powerful. I've kept that very close to my heart for a long time. Got to be wrong in this life if you're going to grow. And I think, there we go, fold this up. I think there are a lot of people that really don't like to be wrong. Well, I guess nobody likes to be wrong. Let's turn this off. Right here and right here. And here we go. Nobody likes to be wrong, but I think there are some people that can't come to terms with being wrong, and they will never admit that they were wrong. And they refuse to change course, to change the way they're doing things. And if you're going to have a good faith argument, if any two people are going to have a good faith argument, I think they both have to go into it with the idea that they might be wrong. And that is, for a lot of people, that's crazy talk. And they go into every discussion or debate with the idea that they're simply going to talk the other person into seeing it their way, rather than that they're going to trade ideas back and forth and maybe learn something. Oh, I'm wrong all the time. You kidding me? Should have talked to me when I was 17. That's when I knew everything. Now I don't know anything. I'm wrong all the time. But it's great, because that tells me that I'm learning things and figuring things out every day. Wouldn't trade it for the world. It's good to learn stuff. All right, I've drifted a bit. We're a little bit off topic. Let me see. It says finish plowing the field and drive back to the farm. We did finish plowing. We're driving back to the farm, and I think we're going to go back in the house again. And when we come out, we're going to go hook up a pellet spreader, broadcast spreader, and throw some fert on that field. And then I think we're done. This game has grown on me since it was released. It really, really has. I know it had a couple of bugs on day one, but it ran, it functioned. But it's coming around. I'm really curious to see how they optimize it. You know what, Fried? I watch a Twitch streamer, Sacriel, who plays Tarkov, which is probably the most violent, brutal game that I've ever. I played it for a couple of months. I had to get away from it. It was too frustrating. Where's our? Are we too far away? Why am I? Oh, is it on the other side? Ah, there it is. He plays Escape from Tarkov. And he he gives physics lessons. He's not a physicist. I don't know what he is. He's just some Twitch streamer. But he gives physics lessons. He's not a physicist. He's just learning about physics. As far as I know, there's been one patch so far. It was small. It was about 100 meg. All right. After sowing, the new crop grows beautifully thanks to the excellent preparation from your soil cultivation. Well, Professor Farbstein, thank you very much. Not much plant protection is needed because most of the weeds were suppressed by the plowing. Farmers who have organic fertilizers available, such as slurry or digestate, apply these to the existing crops as an initial dose at the 21 BBCH stage. That's something else I'm going to have to learn. All right. In Germany, oh God. Hang on, let me move outside the door here. All right. So this is one of those things that I don't know if I need to know this later in the game or if this is just general information for farmers. In Germany, there are things you must observe strictly as a farmer. For example, nitrogenous or phosphorus fertilizers must not be applied to non-absorptive ground, for example, when the soil is frozen or flooded. All right. After harvesting the main crop and until February 1st, you can't apply any fertilizer with a high nitrogen content to arable land. Yeah, I'm going to skip through some of this. Any fertilization must have been documented 2 days after application at the latest. I'll tell you what, if we need to start driving down to the council and getting permits and documentation in this game, oh yeah. Specific distances must be maintained from water bodies. Slurry can only be applied close to the ground in areas covered with plants using a dribbler bar. All right. In addition to the statutory regulations, applying the fertilizer in strips has other benefits. The smell outside is not as strong. Okay. All right. Yeah. And that's the thing about the internet. It is an absolute cesspool of exploitation and yeah, it's the most horrible place. But then things happen on the internet and you do things on the internet that could not have ever happened at any other time in human history other than like the last 5 years. It's amazing. It's amazing. It is the best and worst thing that has ever happened to human beings. Attach the slurry wagon and drag hose at the contractor. Drive to the contractor. Of course. This game loves it when we drive to the contractor. It's funny for me to read about the internet from like 25 years ago and see the things that people said about it, that it was going to bring us together as people because anybody would be able to communicate with anybody at any moment. There would be no more misunderstandings, and anybody would be able to find any piece of knowledge or information about anything. Now that's true. You can find just about anything that anybody has ever said or done or thought is documented somewhere on the internet. But it was going to end war, and it was going to solve a lot of problems in society, either through government, through private industry. It was just going to make the world a much better place. And when you look at the internet now, some of those things I think have come to pass, but it's also a lot of shopping, a lot of pornography, and a lot of people fighting. And I don't know if the people that came up with the internet anticipated that. I don't know if they saw that happening. So there are definitely good things about it. There are great things about it, and it has changed and improved the world in countless ways. But man, it's a minefield out there. Gotta be careful where you're stepping on the internet. All right. You know, I would not have minded if the devs spread these things around other parts of the map. I think we've made enough trips to the contractor. All right, so we're going to pull right in here. Get this hooked up. Yeah. I mean, I know there's other stuff, but it's, ugh. Now, where are we going to fill this thing? We could fill it at the farm, we could fill it at the BGA, or we could fill it at the wastewater treatment plant. Where are we going? Did we not do that? Ah, okay. I think I might have to do this third person, because there is like they got a zero tolerance policy on how straight this thing goes in. They definitely have the collision turned on. If you go in sideways, you'll bump the front of this thing and just scoot it backwards, and you're chasing the dragon at that point. You'll never catch it. So we're staying third person. If somebody can do this in cab, my hat is off to you. All right, carefully, right in there. Oh. Nope. So close. So close. All right. Once again. Carefully. Carefully. Right about there. Beautiful. All right. And we are going to the BGA. Drive to the BGA, BGP game. Are there two of them? Fried, I think what I noticed is you get one texture when you're spreading the slurry, but when you come back to it, then it has the other with the puddles and you can see the water from the slurry. I feel like they do that maybe to save a few FPS. But I agree with you. There's something very zen about it. Very, I don't know. You feel like you're doing something. Really? Okay. I'll give it a try. Oh, and you know what I forget now? With the track IR, we can just look behind us and sort of watch it all the way in, rather than having our head looking to the front and going back and forth between the mirrors. We can just kind of throw our head back over our shoulder. Okay. I'll give it a try next time. Always looking for new challenges. All right, and where's our turn? There it is. There's our turn. All right, so we're going in here now. I'd like to see some damping on the steering as well. I feel like it's a little bit, the steering's a little bit too responsive. I wouldn't mind feeling a little bit more, I don't know, almost like Truck Sim, where even if you throw the wheel over hard, it still takes a second to get there. Well, with the gamepad it does. I know if you're on, if you're using a wheel, the wheel in-game turns as fast as you turn the wheel in real life. But on a gamepad, even if you throw the wheel over, you know what I'm saying? Hard to starboard, it still takes a minute to get there. And I wouldn't mind seeing that here. Okay. Slurry and digestate are storaged, all right, in the so-called slurry silos. So-called. All right, so we'll get rid of that. Interesting. Okay, there's a muscle memory, because I can't do it to save my life. I can't do it in cab. I almost have to be third person. Backing up a dolly trailer is, wow. Go ahead, get comfortable. Pour yourself a glass of wine, because we're going to be here for a minute. All right, so we're going over here now. All right. Slurry is prevented from leaking by a slide gate system. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the professor is like filling our heads with knowledge, but I don't know how much of it we're ever going to need and how much of it is just good stuff to know. But I'm definitely up to speed on that slide gate system. All right. So let's set the brake, and we will go third person for this. Oh, that's a really nice render right there. Hang on, let me turn this off for a second. Look at that. That looks fantastic with that low lighting. All right. When organic liquid fertilizer is stored, it separates into layers. Okay, it's already been done. Interesting. You know, I wouldn't mind if we had to manually turn on an agitator and then wait a bit for it to get all, distributed. All right. There is a real farmer on my Discord, and he posted a picture a while back that he was using a hand agitator, which looked like a giant drill with an auger on it. He was using a hand agitator in a slurry pit, and something horrible happened. I don't remember exactly what the circumstances were, but the end result was covered in poo. That's how it all went down. So I would imagine that's just one of those farmer days you could do without. All right. And this, I really like this, that everything just moves so slowly in this game. I hope modders don't overwrite some of that stuff. I know there are some mods for Farm Sim where things finish in like seconds. An entire tank in a combine harvester will unload in just a few seconds. I hope modders stay away from that sort of thing. Okay. Depending on the spread rate and size, you may not get the whole field done with one wagon. Often, you will need to drive back to the slurry silo to get more liquid fertilizer. Okay. We can do that. And for now, brake is off. Here we go. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I guess you get used to it. I worked with a guy that had been a fire captain in California. And he said after a year or two, he did it for 20 years before he retired. At like 42. He retired when he was 42 years old with 140% of his salary. Yeah, California. Go figure. What was I talking about? What was I upset about? Oh, right. He said your first couple years responding to bad traffic accidents with fatalities, it's rough, and you get the mind movie, and you can't let it go, and it's really, really hard. And then after a while, it's just part of the job. And I imagine that's true of a lot of things. I don't know how many farmers that have been doing it for X number of years. I don't know how many of them even notice it anymore. Hey man, did you know you're covered in poo? And they're like, oh yeah, that happens. Eventually everything just becomes work. It just becomes a job. Doesn't matter what it is. At some point it's just a job. All right. Yeah, I don't want to like belabor the point. But this game is really growing on me. It's just got a smooth kind of feel to it. One of my big complaints during early access was the game did not feel balanced, and it feels really well balanced now. It's just got kind of an engaging quality to it. It's immersive. And I think for me, that's, yeah, Fred, it is. It is. And I think your mind does it to protect yourself. You know, this is what you do for a living. And I think a lot of EMTs and firefighters, I think some of them see it as a calling as well. You know, this is a job that has to be done, and I'm going to do it so that somebody else doesn't have to, because it's, you know, something that I can tolerate or something that I'm good at. But I think it's something your mind does to protect you and keep you sane so you can continue doing your job. But yeah, it's kind of a grim occupation. I think working in an emergency room would be the same way. You know, you or I might go to an emergency room with like a, you know, broken ankle or something, but other people other people go to an emergency room and they're not leaving. And I think that's something that maybe I don't get to see because I'm just there to get some x-rays and they throw an air splint on me and send me home. But when you're there, you know, every night for years and years, I think you just see those unhappy outcomes over and over. All right, the fertilizer calculator has calculated that we want to apply 193 kilograms of nitrogen, 112 kilograms of phosphate, and 142 kilograms of potassium per hectare this season. We will distribute the full amount at various intervals using different fertilizer types and application methods. Man, this game is going to be, you know what I'm saying? This is going to be tricky to like remember all this stuff, because you don't, like if we go, is it here? If we go here, right, and we go to a field that we own, right, this is the balance that we need to get sorted out. So like right now, where is it? I'm going to close out Professor Farmstein here. Or can I just move him? No, I can't move him. All right, we'll come back to this menu. Let me read the rest of him here. The digestate has a nitrogen content of 0.6%, a phosphate content of 0.3%, and a potassium content of 0.5%. We should therefore set our spread rate in the Stubble slurry spreader to 15,000 kilograms per hectare to get N, P, and K levels of 90 kilograms, 45 kilograms, and 75 kilograms per hectare, respectively. Since the soil still has residual nitrogen levels of approximately 43 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare, after today's application, we should reach approximately 133 kilograms. We will look at the other fertilizer application once you have completed the initial dose. If your wagon is empty, you can fill it up again at the biogas plant. This is going to be a problem for me. It really is. Because like, right, so when I look at this right now, as far as what we need to balance, my instinct would be to find one perfect fertilizer, right, that would put everything where we need it to be. But that could be too expensive, or it could be that there's just a better way to do it if we get one thing balanced now and get another thing balanced later. But we'll constantly need to be doing the math on that. All right, that was a little bit of pop in right there, but I think we're good. Now, hang on, let me read the chat. Yeah, it's a rough way to make a living. And I know there are some people that they understand that their job is damaging them, and they choose to continue doing it as long as they can as a service to the rest of us. That is, to me, that is extraordinary. And to know that so many of them do it, maybe without anybody even knowing about it, that's amazing. All right, so let's get this open. We want to go here and here. Yep, and we're going to set our spread rate to 15,000. God, I really don't even know if I'm going to be able to remember all this when it comes time to like You know what I'm saying? Spread my wings and fly. I don't know if I'm going to remember all this stuff. I hope I do. All right. So we're going to point here now. Oh, that was nice. We just got a really cool, almost like a hydraulic sound. Lovely. All right. So we're going to get this open, and we want this. And oh, that's not too bad right there. Right about there. Auto track. Yep. So we're gonna go right in here. Oh wait, hang on. Almost forgot. And also, let's take a look here. Four-wheel drive is on. Four-wheel drive is on. You know what, Fried? I'm very excited to I'm very excited to play career mode, but I am definitely a bit intimidated. All right, we want A. There is A. Professor Farmstein says, God, that's a lot to read. All right. So we got the field guidance on, and we are driving pretty fast right about now. Is that okay? I hope that's okay. I think I'm a little bit, like my head is not quite wrapped around the idea that the slurry comes out at the same rate regardless of how fast we're going. Because I know in Moment, I know in Farm Simulator, does the rate not adjust itself? Yeah, I think the rate adjusts itself based on how fast you're going. So you're always delivering the same amount, whether you're going slow or fast. And Cattle and Crops does not have that functionality. I think it's got a fixed delivery rate. And your goal is to... Is it this one? Did we turn that far? Your goal is to go as fast as possible, really. Because if you go slow while it's being delivered at a given rate, you're sort of wasting it. Did I say that right? There's also the option of slitting the ground open with discs and depositing the slurry into the slits. Another possibility is to inject the slurry into the ground at various points using a type of spiked roller. All right. I'm reading, and I should be kind of focused on not crashing my tractor. All right. So then the trees. All right. So we'll back this up. Now, how do we want to do this? Let me see. Let's get rid of this first. And we can drive on this field now. Can we not? Yeah, we can drive on here. So we want to, let's go around this way. Oh, jackknife. Careful. I feel like the wheels on our trailer are not biting. It's sliding rather than tracking. Come on. Cooperate with me here. All right, let's try this way. No, there's really no farming where I am. You'd need to go about, probably about 30 or 40 miles. We want to go here. Yeah, we want to go on this one, but I want to start my turn early so the edge of the boom doesn't catch this tree. Yep, just like that. All right, that clears. So then we want to lower. We want to turn our pump on. And then the cruise control. William, I'm sort of from all over, but at the moment I am in North Carolina, eastern United States. All right, and I'm gonna go right up to the edge here, turn that off, lift it, and then same thing, we're gonna back up this way. I think I see part of the problem maybe is that we do have the guidance steering still on. I need to hotkey that so I can turn it on and off quickly. We've got the guidance steering on and it has a mind of its own. All right, now did we do this lane? I don't even know. Yeah, I think we did that one. We need to do this one now. Not that one. This one. All right, so we're going to lower and we're going to start spreading. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I agree. I told you I grew up in Pennsylvania, and there are some big farms in Pennsylvania, but it's not like Oklahoma or California in the Central Valley or Kansas where you have massive 100,000 acre corporate farms. A lot of small farms in Pennsylvania. A lot of smaller farms. And at first, when I first started playing Farm Sim, I wanted the biggest equipment possible. But I sort of came around to the idea of trying to farm like the farms that I saw when I was growing up, much smaller. And we want this one now. Mason, I don't. If there's a specific Mason, I'm not sure that I know who you mean. Yeah, I've been going way too slow with this thing in the past, and I'm always running out of digestate or slurry because I'm used to that other system where the slower you go, the slower it delivers it. Right. Finish fertilizing and then return the wagon and the drag hose to the contractor. I think we're done. Yeah, our bar is done, so we can save. We can fold this now. Not save. And then we'll go here. We'll turn this off like so and like so. And we're going to head to the contractor once this is folded up. And it looks like it is. Yeah, so there's some real farmers on Discord that got me sorted out. I wanted to something's going off my track IR. What's happening right now? I wanted absolutely the biggest equipment possible, and they got me sorted out on like 100 to 200 horsepower, much smaller, 3 and 4 meter implements. And I'm really glad that they did. I enjoy it, I think, a lot more. It's a lot more challenging. It's a lot slower. Oh, don't worry about it, Fried. Come on now, it's 2020. We can all read text. We translate autocorrect. I got an Android Galaxy and I don't know, man. I feel like my phone wants to embarrass me because the things that it autocorrects, it's not all like bad words or anything. It just uses the strangest things. Even when I type a word correctly, it will just randomly make it into another word in ways that make no sense. And when I read it back, it's like, God, man, you're making me look like an idiot. Stop helping. It will correct words that I type correctly, but then other words that they're not even words. It's nothing. It makes no sense at all. And Galaxy is like, oh yeah, that's fine. We're sending that one through. That one's approved. Ugh, it's the worst. But I've got the well, I can't say it out loud because if I do, it'll wake up and ask me what I want. But I've got the little thing that you talk to, right? You yell at it and it does stuff. It sets a timer, turns the music on, tells you what the temperature is outside. You know the one I'm talking about. Sets an alarm for you. I got one of those, and for the most part, it does okay. It's not Samsung. It's well, again, I can't say it out loud because it'll wake up. But it's that company, the one that makes Android. You know the one. It's one of those, and for the most part, it works really, really well. It rarely gets it wrong, and it's amazing how naturally you can just talk to it. You can just tell it stuff, and it sorts it out and knows what you're talking about. It's amazing. I think probably within the next 5 years or so, we'll get to a point where those can talk back to you in conversational words, right? It won't just be scripted, automatic responses. It will be, you'll have a conversation with it. There's so many of those. It's like one word off, one syllable off in the wrong direction, and it's not bad or anything. It's not like it's putting in profanity. It just replaces it with a word that, in the context of whatever message it is that you're sending, the person that gets it just can't make heads or tails of it. What are they talking about? And for some reason, Galaxy, Android, they do that all the time. All right, we're supposed to drop this thing off. Now, I have tried to figure out, this has been a problem for me. If I just hit B, I want it to drop off the entire wagon. I want it to drop off the whole rig and not just the spreader arms. Yeah, see, we got to figure this out. So what was my combo that I came up with? Was it this? Not that. Was it this? It's not that. Is it that? It's not that. I thought I came up with a key combo. Ah, I remember now. It's this. There we go. Yeah, well, let's talk about it right now. So if I hook this thing up, right? So it's the tanker itself that is selected. But I can't see anywhere on here that indicates that that's the case, because if we select the other thing, if we select the sprayer arms, nothing changes or moves. So it's like, how do I know what it is that I have selected? Because when I hit B now, right? Moment. There we go. That drops. I'd like a little indicator of some kind so we know what we've got highlighted. All right. First person. Here we go. All right. I think it will be. I hope it is at some point. Or at least to even have it as an option. Some people may not want that, but just make a little tick box in the settings that you can turn that on if you want. All right. I just noticed it's autumn and the trees are bare. I was curious if that would happen. I don't know if we're going to get snow in the winter. You know, I'm okay with it, but I don't necessarily need it, particularly if it's going to beat the frame rate up. I don't know that we'll be doing a lot in the winter that we really need to worry about that. There we go. Had to reset the track IR. It was fun to plow snow a couple times when Seasons was released, but I don't know. I think plowing snow for me, it's sort of like logging. You know, it's not necessarily what I want to do in my farm sim. I'm glad that it's there. It's just not for me. All right. Next dose of fertilizer will be applied in around 2 months. So I've noticed that every time we leave the tractor running, because it's hot and we want to let it cool off, we end up letting it sit for like 2 months. So let's turn it off this time. We'll hop out. Right. And before we go inside, let's take a look at this. That's a nice dirt effect. I mean, it hasn't really spread around a whole lot. It's kind of concentrated on the wheels, but that's a nice dirt effect. It's got a nice 3D look to it. Yeah, I would imagine. I heard a farmer, I think it was in a YouTube video, but they said people are always talking about how hard we work. I work for a couple months in the spring and then I play golf all summer. Check the weather a lot. Oh dear, I think we're in a wall. Yeah, I don't doubt that farmers work very hard, but I do think there's a lot of downtime. Right, once the crop has developed tillers, I don't know what that means, a lot of farmers give the plants more nitrogen for sprouting, in other words, forming the main stems. Oh yeah, let's do it. The vehicle trader is providing us with a field sprayer for our work today. After testing it, we should consider getting a machine like this ourselves. I'll definitely consider that. However, we can also rent one for a certain period if necessary. Okay. So we are going to take the MB track. Now there's a weight over there. I don't think we need that. Field sprayer doesn't have a lot of tongue weight, does it? I don't think it does. So we will open this, right? Ah, slow. The whole game is so slow. It's perfect. All right, fire up. Brake is off. Let's make our way down there. All right, here we go. Oh, you know what? We can, moment. We can, is it here? And I think it's just the one. Yeah, I don't think we have a back wiper on this. Nope. All right. Wrong button. There we go. I don't see any rain on the windscreen. So I think having the windshield wiper on is sort of symbolic. But I'm glad that it's there. Fusion, there are no dumb questions. Well, now I take that back. There probably are some. IC is interactive control, and it's a term from Farming Simulator for things that you can do to the tractor. As far as like opening doors or things that you do, not in real life. What's the word I'm looking for? Like if we were to turn the wiper on with a key command or with a game controller command, that would just be turning on the wiper. But when we use our little switch down here, That's interactive control. Oh, interesting. So we've got off, no lights. We've got low, the bottom light is on, and we've got 2 lights up top. So interactive control is how I've heard it described, and it's just things that you can do in the environment. All right, there's our little rabbit. He's got a very sincere hop. Can you? Moment. Oh, wow. Yes, you can. That's fantastic. I'm not going to mess with those right now. I never use my mirrors in a tractor. Maybe occasionally when I'm backing up, but hardly ever. Yeah, there's a lot of the things in this game, I have to say, are things that have been on our wish list as sim farmers for a long, long time. And it really is, I think it really makes it clear that the people that built this game are modders, because so many of the base game features in Cattle and Crops are things that we wanted to be added to Farm Sim as mods. And in some cases they were. All right, hang on, I gotta read the chat. Yep, no problem, Fried. It was supposed to be 120 minutes, and I think we're well past that. So they do seem to be running a little bit longer than what the game estimates. But yeah, man, do what you got to do. I appreciate you stopping by. All right, and then from here, I want to say that we're going to fill this thing down by the harbor. Right on, Fried. I think we're doing Truck Sim tomorrow. So I'll see you when I see you, but I appreciate it. All right, so we'll back this thing in. Right about like so. Okay. With the plant protection sprayer, you can get mineral liquid fertilizer from the trader. Need 154 kilograms, which is the equivalent to around 130 liters. Okay. And where do we do that? Out and around. Yeah, I think it's over by the harbor. So we want to go out this way. I'm getting a little bit casual with the way I'm throwing these tractors around. I feel like I know the parts of the map that have traffic, and if I'm on a part of the map that doesn't have traffic, I just kind of blow through the intersections. Try to get out of that habit. All right. And I want to say there's a tank like this down at the contractor as well. I think we can get liquid fertilizer down there too. All right. Now, is this the one we want? Oh, can't use that. Is this the one we want? UAN28N36. Well, let's hope. And we want, what do we say? 130 liters. Well, we're getting 150 liters. I'm not going to try to slide the slider over. All right. Compared to the slurry, the liquid fertilizer is highly concentrated, so you only need to apply small quantities namely liter per hectare. The benefit of this is that you can fertilize many hectare with one sprayer tank full. Once again, the FGS system is helpful. All right, I got too many windows open. So we're going to close this. What? We're going to close. Trigger. We're going to close this one. All right. And then we'll pull out of this trigger. This is all one way, so we do need to loop around. We'll get back to the field and get this sprayed. And we do still have that broadcast spreader in the barn. I don't know if we're doing another layer after this. Man, if every field, right, when we get into career mode, if every field is like this, this is going to be the slowest game ever. It's going to take like 500 hours to get through a season. It's madness. All right, so we'll go down here. And I think, yeah, the field that we're working is sort of right across the highway from the implement dealer. So I don't think we'll have to drive very far. So right down here. And yeah, I think that's it right there. We could just cut right through there, but we'll drive around. We'll do it the right way. I want to say the vehicles feel a little bit different since the patch, but it could just be me. There's nothing, you know, nothing I can really put my finger on, nothing really definitive to say that they're definitely different, but they seem a little bit smoother, and I really do feel like there's less stuttering. Like they've maybe optimized a tiny bit already. They said that's their biggest goal right now, is to optimize the game. So if they've already started on that, maybe they had something in that first patch. All right, so we'll turn here on this little dirt track. Even with something relatively small like this sprayer on, there is a difference in speed when you're climbing a hill and when you crest it. You can really feel the tractor pick up when you're not climbing. All right, so right down here now. Here? Right here, okay. Yeah, we did just sort of go in a great big circle. We could have driven up between these two fields, because the one that we're going to be working in is directly across from the dealer. We could have just cut up that little grass verge, but we didn't. All right, so we'll right in the middle, huh? All right. 35 kilograms. I imagine that's 35 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare. All right, extremely high nitrogen count, so we can spread almost exactly 100 kilograms per hectare. That's going to be our rate. Is that correct? So we want to go here, and it's going to be here. No. Here, what do we say? 100? 100. Okay. So we'll get rid of that momentarily. Let's get turned around here. We'll get this thing open, and we'll get lined up for field guidance. So we'll go right in here. Unfold this. Yeah, we've barely got any in the tank. Out of a 3,000 liter tank, we've got 150 liters, so this is going to be applied very sparingly. Okay, so now we want this, right? So we're going to turn this on, right? And then like that. And I think we need to raise it a little bit. Yep, just enough to see it. And we want rotate it a little bit, slide it over a little bit. Okay. And there's also, let me see, back here there's also slope compensation is active, right? Working with, so we do want to lower. We do want to lower. We are tracking. Look over here, and we're going to start spraying. Okay. Now it says the hill compensation is active, but I feel like we're dragging a little bit on that left boom. Ah, here we go. Something's already wrong. So let's lift this and turn this off. Off, I said. All right. So we're going to back up. Set the working width to 15 meters was, I feel like that was not discussed. I wasn't told. I'm just trying to get back across the field without jackknifing this thing, but with field guidance on, it's kind of throwing it around, but we'll make it. Alexander, I just do as I'm told, my friend. This is what the software told me to do. All right, set the working width to 15 meters. Yeah, this is the first I've heard of this. Spray rate, height limitation. Yeah, let's raise this a little bit. Yeah, just so we get that up. Slope compensation, work width, here we go. Work width, 28 meters. That says A. Ah, here we go. Hang on, is it spraying? So, what is happening right now? Okay, it needs to steer yourself, get fewer places. Okay, that's all good. Let's go back here. So that is 15 meters. But what we're looking at here is, oh, did it fold it in? Hang on. Did it fold the back part of it in? It did. Okay. Now it's making sense. Now it's making sense. All right. So we want to get lined up here again. Then we want to lower. We want to start spraying. And we are going to set the cruise control. And let's see if this tells us we're going too fast again. Nope. We're doing okay this time. No, we're not. It says we're driving too fast. That's with the cruise control. So we'll just go manually, so we don't go too fast. I'm not sure why it's not capping our speed. And you know, Alexander, I don't know if they will or not. I've heard that they want to, but I don't know whether they will or not. I don't know if they'll be able to or not. And I think, yeah, we'll just very carefully, really can't see anything right now, but as long as our boom clears the tree, I think we'll be okay. All right. Yeah, it's my understanding that they want to bring it to console, but I don't know if they'll be able to because of all the scripting and just the things that are in the game. And I noticed as soon as we started, our progress bar was already easily like 60 or 70% of the way across there in the top left corner. So I don't know if that's indicating like total fertilizer, because we already spread slurry. I don't know if all the fertilizer combined counts when it says fertilize the field, or if that progress bar is only for the sprayer that we have on right now. Unknown. All right, and now we want to be super careful on this side with our boom so we don't clip the tree. I did that once earlier. Try not to do it again. All right, so we'll stop that. And then I'm going to back up. And I think if we go out this way, yeah, we can just go around. We're going to clear. Yep, we are. Okay. So we'll turn our sprayer back on. Here we go. No, I didn't know that, Alexander. I've been trying to follow it on Digital Foundry. They've been doing a lot of reviews of it and kind of studying it. It's an amazing piece of technology. Okay, there you go, Alexander. Williams says it is coming to console soon. There you go. All right, and I think I can see our progress bar moving. All right, right about there. And let's do the same thing we did on the other side, because I think there's a tree right there. And there's one right there. So let's back up and let's, well, I'm thinking of it, let's turn this off because it did stop raining. So we don't need that anymore. Let's back up. Carefully. All right. So we're okay on that tree. We just need to worry about that tree right there. For the most part, the field guidance steering is really good, but it does get too aggressive sometimes. All right. They've done a really nice job with the way the crops blow in the wind. That's very, it's got a really nice look to it. I think it's beating up our frame rate pretty badly, but it's worth it, if that makes sense. It's a nice effect, really well done. The liquid fertilizer is poured directly into the tank. From there, it is sucked in by the pump and pumped into the booms. Yep, talking about using GPS to control the flow and the spray rate. And I know there's some boom sprayers that have the GPS will selectively cut nozzles. So as you're driving back and forth on the field, you may cross the same area twice, but the nozzles cut selectively so that you never spray the same area twice, even if you drive across it. All right, where is it here? Oh, we just came out of that one. So we want this one right over here. All right. Here we go. I think it was on sale for a while, up till the 22nd, I want to say. It was on sale for like 25 US. And I think that's no, I don't want to say that's a good price for it. It's tricky because it was in early access and there were a lot of Kickstarter supporters, and I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, it's still got a ways to go. Let's get back up here. And did we tell it to fold? I thought we told it to fold. Fold, damn it. Oh, you know what? Let's try this. We'll get rid of this first. Because at the moment, it is not letting me fold. So let's try this. Lift booms. We need to lift before we can fold. Yep, that is exactly it. Can't be folded when the booms are lowered. Okay. And we're driving right across the street here. Okay. Yeah, so on the one hand, it's a new game and it still needs a lot of work, so you know, it's worth maybe 20 or 25. And on the other hand, there's been a lot of work put into this. And the devs, you know, they gotta keep working. So I don't know. Everybody comes out on that in a different place. You know, some people say that this is what the game is worth to me. I don't care what you put into it. And other people say, well, you know, if it's a niche game and not a lot of people are going to buy it, then I'm going to pay a little bit more for it so the devs can keep working. So I don't know. 25 bucks I think is more than fair. And if it ends up being more than that, I don't know. I guess we'll just need to see what they add to it. All right, and we are headed back to the farm. I think that's us done. Yeah, because we've been working for a minute here. I'm still curious about that broadcast spreader in the barn. Now, if we do pick that up, at that point we will have used the cultivator, the plow, the slurry spreader, the boom sprayer, and the broadcast spreader. And I think that really would be like every aspect of field prep. Could be that that's what the devs want, is to just expose you to all those things so you're familiar with all of them. carefully. A little wide on that turn. All right, let's see what's next. I'm just going to park this up right here because every time, well, so far every time when we go in the house and we come back out, all the tractors are parked up in different places anyway. All right. There we go. Toward the end of May, so let's skip to then. Time passes. Ear emergence dose granulated fertilizer. Yep, we are. I had a feeling we were going to use that. Had a feeling we were going to use that pellet spreader. Okay. Once the crop has developed tillers, a lot of farmers give the plants more nitrogen for sprouting. Things are not looking too good in our field, though. Oh dear. We applied too little phosphate and potassium to start with, which means that we now have a nutrient deficiency in the field. We have already stored a little NPK 15-15-15 granulated fertilizer for the season, and we can use this straight away with no need to go to the cooperative again to buy more. Fantastic. So we're going to put the broadcast spreader on the MB track. And do we, yeah, we got to wait there. I think we'll be okay without a wait. Pretty big tractor. All right. That closed. All right. Try to square that off. Pretty close. All right. Our fertilizer storage, like the grain storage, is in the machine hall, downstairs in the loading area. Fertilizer can be taken and loaded directly with a shovel or using the pipe system. Since we do not have a front loader or a shovel, we'll use the pipe system. And position the route axis directly under the discharge pipe. Okay. So are we going to pull in parallel or perpendicular? Are they talking about the pipe in the ceiling or the pipe over on the side? Yeah, I guess it's this one. Because if we look once we get in here, so these two little pits over here where we dropped off the fertilizer, those have little pipes above them as well. Interesting. Okay. And let's go third person here just to line this up. All right, and we want, we can get our cursor going. It says solid. 530 kilograms, but where is it? There it is. Okay, with at least 530 kilograms. Okay, so that's right down here. We'll say 540 to be safe. And we can, all right, that was easy. Drive to the field. So we'll go out this way. And then around here. This is the, let me see, this is the 5th time we've been to this field. I think I should be able to remember where it is by now. Yeah, I think we're going to need to do what we're doing for this field right now. I think we're going to need to do this for every field that we own. And we're going to need to calculate all this stuff out manually as far as all the chemistry for the soil. And if we get into hay, making hay, all the water content and everything, this is really going to be, there's going to be a lot of math involved in this game. A lot more than I was anticipating. It's not a bad thing. It's just unexpected. I knew there would be soil chemistry. I had no idea it would be this comprehensive. And also seeing the grass in the fields to the left and the right. Well, grass on the left, some other crop sprouting here to the right. Our frame rate is a lot lower than it was earlier when we were working. So I think, like a lot of people have noticed, crops in the field, whether it's an arable crop or grass, can really impact your frame rate. All right, and we'll go right up around here. Carefully. Right. So I'm going to get pulled right in here, and then let's see how we're supposed to set this thing up. So we want to bigger than an MB track? Okay. I would have thought, I mean, yeah, well, it's not fully loaded, but yeah, you're right. It does sort of eat up that MB track. Yeah, all right. Okay, set the spread rate to 450 kilograms per hectare. And that is here. And that is here. Let me say 450. 450. Set the working width to 15 meters. Right? Fertilize the field. Okay. So we'll get rid of this. And then we're going to open this up. Turn it on. Right? I noticed that it's kept the angle. It's like once we got the angle set. Hang on, this one. Once we got the angle set, it doesn't matter what width implement we're using, it still maintains the same angle. We need to adjust the side to side, but it maintains the angle. I like that. So we'll turn this on. Turn this on. We'll hop back here. Now, do we lower this thing when we're working? Or is that too low? Yeah, that's too low. That'd be dragging. So we'll lift that. Turn it on. Did we not just turn it on? Why is it not spraying? Moment, please. Turn work mode on or off. Yeah, for some reason it's not turning on. Okay, so we'll back up a little bit. Let's try this. Nope, still not turning on. Okay, well, I mean, we can do it this way. Still not turning on. All right, now it's on. All right. And like with the boom sprayer, it really does not like the speed that we're traveling at. When we go to cruise control, so we'll try to do this manually. We also need to do this. There we go. Try to control our speed here. All right, so we'll turn that off. And then like so. All right. So far so good. And I gotta get rid of this. I know I'm getting quiet right now. I'm concentrating, trying to maintain the right speed across this field. And I am going to drive through these little bushes down here. No, I'm not. That's too big a bush to drive through. So just back down around this way. There we go. Yeah, unfortunately, there's no way to really tell whether it's on or not that I can see, other than to look down in the lower right and see whether the volume of fertilizer is decreasing. But there's no, like, I don't see any type of indicator light or anything to let us know that this thing is on. And I can't, I guess you can see the plate sort of spinning under there. But it is tricky to know whether or not it's on or not. All right, so this row is done, and I'm going to go out and around this tree here. I don't want to go out onto the road, but it'll be nearly that far. All right, out around this way. There we go. That worked. Yep, I agree, Alexander. I really, really like Farm Simulator. I always have, but I have always felt that it lacked a little bit of depth and complexity, and this game really adds that. It's like a whole different experience. I mean, even going through this scenario where they're explaining all the chemistry and telling us exactly what it is we need to do for the fields, I'm still a little bit overwhelmed. And when we get into career mode and I have to do all the math and figure all this stuff out on my own, it's going to be a handful. I'm looking forward to it, but it is going to be difficult. All right, so we'll swing around that one, go around behind this one. Yeah, the field guidance steering does grab the wheel sometimes when you least expect it. There we go. We just got, I feel like we just got some kind of message, but I didn't see anything pop up. All right, well, we've got this row, and there's really only one more length. As far as side to side in the field, there's really only one more length. So once we get done with this one and the next one, I would assume we have to be done. Hopefully it gives us one last look at the chemistry for the field so that we can see how all these different fertilizers we applied balanced out and got all the numbers where we need them to be. All right, so that is that, okay? And then we'll make our turn here. Go around this tree carefully. There we go. And turn this back on. All right, it did, well, I think that tone we got a few minutes ago was to tell us that we were done with the scenario, but then it did have us work on this length a little bit more. Okay, so we'll get done here, carefully. We'll get done here. Turn that off. We'll get rid of this, right? And then turn that off. And I think we can drive back to the farm. Yep, drive back to the farm. See what we got for traffic here. So this will leave one scenario. We have one more scenario to go after this. And it's, I don't know. Some people seem to think it's bugged out. So we'll find out when we get to that one. But apparently if you save or stop it all while you're in that scenario, then it's very difficult to finish it. So we'll try to do it end to end without stopping or saving. But once we're done with that, then we can come back in and hop into career mode. And I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. And I think, yeah, I don't think there's anything left to do in those fields because what have we done? We cultivated them, we plowed them, and we used 3 different types of fertilizer. So I believe that's us done. Yeah, Alexander, as far as I know, it does. I know there's water content in hay. You need to keep flipping your hay until you get it properly dried. I know it can, oh, interesting. I know it can determine how well you can get around in fields. If the fields are muddy, it makes it harder to drive in them. And drought and you can get too much rain or not enough rain on your crops, and that will impact how they grow. But I'm by no means an expert, so. All right, so we want to unload this, and we want to unload it to, there we go. Okay, and we'll pull back out, park the tractor, and go home. So the short answer is yes, rain does matter. But to what extent, I'm not 100% certain yet. All right, and same thing, I'm just going to pull this up here just to save a little bit of time. So we will set the brake, engine is off. Right, hop out here, close the door. There we go. And let's head inside. Great job. The plants now have the nutrients they need for a successful harvest. Weather conditions permitting, it's going to be a superb harvest this year. Well, I certainly hope so. That is the goal. All right. Get in the MB track and drive to the field. All right. Is there anything in here? I think we just emptied this. I don't know if we need to take this broadcast spreader with us. Don't know what's happening right now. All right, let's close this. And you know what? It's not going to hurt anything to leave that on there. But I don't know if we're going to need to do anything when we get to the field. All right, here we go. Oh, that's nice. I heard somebody talking last stream about puddles in the road, but I was kind of concentrating on other things and didn't see them. But yeah, you can see standing water and puddles in the road. It's a nice little effect. I mean, one of the big complaints about the game has been FPS, and I know all those things beat up FPS, but it's, I don't know, there's a lot of detail. There's a lot of visual detail in the game. If they can get their optimization sorted out, right, so we can keep those visual effects without impacting FPS, it's definitely got a very immersive quality to it. All right, I mean, I can't imagine what else it is that we need to do to this field, but they want us to drive back here. All right. And I still haven't noticed the tractors really ever wanting to roll. They seem to be, I don't know, they don't accelerate or decelerate slowly. No, reverse that. They do accelerate and decelerate slowly. They don't have, all right, harvest in the rain. They do have some weight to them front to back. And they do slide a little bit, so they have some weight side to side. I guess they don't have a lot of, they don't feel like they have a lot of weight top to bottom. They don't feel like they want to roll. Exit the tractor. Okay. So we'll open the door here. We'll hop out. Okay. A lot of work, but great results. Crops need a constant supply of nutrients to be able to sprout effectively. And in this case, we even had to rectify a nutrient deficiency. Oh, nice. We're doing a little drone cam there. It's always a long journey from that first breaking of the ground to sowing, fertilization, and ultimately harvesting, and you really mastered it. And now let's see the fruits of your labor. Let's see them, Professor. I guess that's it. Those are our fruits. Okay. Yep, I'm happy with that. Now, how long does this continue before it... Let's just move to the next scenario. We're not going to do the next scenario today. We're just waiting for this cutscene to end. Maybe. All right. Yeah, this is the same thing that I sort of heard about the final scenario, is that it goes to a cutscene and the cutscene does not end. So let's see if at some point this does. There we go. Right, congratulations, you've successfully completed the scenario. So we've got some new vehicles available. We got 3,000 XP, and if we go back to the scenarios menu, as far as I know, you can plow when it rains, and the tractor will definitely struggle. I personally can feel a pretty big difference between wet soil and dry soil. All right, so Winter is Coming is done. The only one we've got left is Cob Cruncher. We'll do that next time. The end of the season is imminent, and that can only mean one thing, the maize harvest. Okay, and it looks like we're going to take that down to the BGA, 60 to 90 minutes. This one was 120 to 150 minutes. We ended up being right about 3 hours. So they've all seemed to go a little bit long. If they say 60 to 90 minutes, let's figure 2 hours for the next one. We'll do that in a couple days. I want to do the truck tomorrow and maybe a little bit more flight sim, so we'll sort it out. There you go. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for checking out the stream. I appreciate it. See you next time. See you tomorrow.